Well, Hong Kong doesn't seem like to be the same after 18 months of so-called chaos. The extradition bill was finally retracted, but now we have more issues, COVID-19 and social unrest. And today I'm going to have general chat with a high school graduate who likes the debate a lot. His name is Angus Lee. He is having a leap year right now in Hong Kong, and he'll be going to the States, I guess, around summertime of next year. So Angus, it's good to have you appearing at this Chin channel. Now, in the Cantonese channel, we talk more about political issues, sometimes on investments as well. But this is supposed to be like a more soft type of talk. It's not like the Conan O'Brien show, which probably you have seen it on social media. You know, the cardboard Carrie Lam being posted, and then it's quite funny. But anyways, I know you just finished high school and you were concerned about the future of Hong Kong. You did participate in the non-violent demonstrations last year, just like what most of us did. 1 million people came out, and then 2 million. But seems like Carrie Lam didn't do anything, and up till now, she even called herself as the core of Hong Kong. I don't know whether you read the news from 2 days ago. And people got really surprised when she says that she is now the core leader. I can only think of President Xi Jinping as the core, right? But do you still have hope in Hong Kong?
So I think this is a quite difficult question to answer. Just like firstly, obviously, that there's quite a lot of different factors that play here. That, you know, Hong Kong has always sort of been a dual society. So like coming from a sort of international school background, even during the past 18 months, I've been, I guess, cushioned to a greater extent than perhaps many ordinary Hong Kongers. I guess what I foresee happening in the future is that certain elements of like the workforce, like the quite professional, like for example, like finance-oriented sectors, are likely to see like marginally less change in terms of government interference as other parts of society, just simply because it's easier for the administration to like exert its influence there, right? At the end of the day, you know, there's still a quite strong sort of professionally oriented middle class in the city that are quite opinionated and still have some power to fight back. The long-term patterns, I think, probably, unfortunately, slide towards authoritarianism, but you know, at the point where we stay in the city and try and use whatever influence that we do have in order to counter that, I think that there is some like small glimmer of hope.
Yeah. Well, the real world could be a little bit more complicated. You know, I was just reading my column at Apple Daily. I write the finance column every Friday, and I just realized the former chief executive, C.Y. Leung, just made some comments on his Facebook, you know, mentioning me, how come I'm still in Hong Kong. He would have thought that I have already moved to Singapore. I never mentioned I would move to Singapore, but I don't know why he mentioned that. So seems like everyone is under a little bit of a scrutiny. Now, the medical professionals who were against this so-called, you know, like testing, the free testing of COVID-19, they were being attacked by Carrie Lam, saying those so-called medical professionals, they are unprofessional, or that they are against the central government. So you see a lot of political purchase going on. But as someone like you who is just finished high school, do you still have dreams in Hong Kong, any aspirations. And when you went out a year ago, when you took the march, just like most of us did, a non-violent demonstration, telling the whole world that we want Hong Kong to have the so-called one country, two systems to be intact. Do you foresee the national security law would be enacted so abruptly just a little bit over 2 months ago? You know, did it come to you as a surprise, or were you upset about it?
At that time, it definitely came as a surprise. I think just generally a lot of Hong Kongers are just quite surprised about how much has changed so quickly. Just with regards to what you were talking about right now, just now, the fact that the way in which the government is acting has become so heavy-handed in terms of, like, you know, the politicization of certain actions taken by other people within civil society is something that probably we would not have foreseen even like 10 or 5 years ago. So changes are happening quite rapidly, and a lot of tactics being used by, say, the SAR government and people in support have become like exceedingly close to what is being practiced in the mainland in a way that definitely when we all went out on the streets in June, we might not have been able to foresee. So that does sound negative, but I do still have some aspirations about being able to come back in Hong Kong. I think it's important that people who have the ability to stay here try and do so as much as possible, which is why, like, I respect so much the decision of, for example, like Jimmy Lai. Like, even though, like, probably then we could have foreseen that he would have received all, like, the scrutiny that has already happened from, say, the police force and other members of the government. It's quite important that we stay as a base in order to exert some amount of pressure, and even if we can't, just sort of keep the movement alive for a potential time in the future that we might be able to enact change again.
Well, to us, what happened in Tiananmen back 30 some odd years ago, it means so much to our generation, because we saw at that time China was trying to be strong, and people were just asking for more democracy, freedom of expression. For your generation, it seems like what happened from last year, all the protests and the anti-extradition bill, was your generation of Tiananmen. Would you agree to that?
I think that what happened last year has probably carries many similar sorts of emotions for my generation. You know, the sense of maybe on one hand loss, but also admiration for the people who sacrificed so much in order to attempt to protect, like, the values that we hold so dear in this city. I guess Hong Kong has always been that sort of place, at least up to now, where it's acted as a sort of bastion for all those movements in support of free expression and other sort of important freedoms that might not have been as protected in the mainland. Obviously, that's changing quite quickly now with national security law, the way in which very senior members of the administration of the SAR government seem to have hardened their attitudes to a lot of what makes the city unique almost.
Well, it seems like what Carrie Lam commented over the last few weeks, you know, is along the party line, the Beijing party line. And she, you know, the way she talks, her demeanor, it's a reflection of CCP. I think she is not representative of Hong Kong people anymore, which is a sad thing. Same thing with the Secretary of Justice and Secretary of Security. You know, like, and you know, I was just reading the leftist Tai Kung Pao, and then they put Jeffrey Ma, the Chief Justice of the Court of Final Appeal, you know, in the front page just a few days ago. Basically, it's more like a political purge, implying that he is quite lenient towards the demonstrators from last year. So it's, looks like to me it's some sort of cultural revolution in some shape or form. Now, I know universally it's still 1 year away. What are your aspirations if you do come back, and if Hong Kong is not just becoming another Chinese city? And of course, Hong Kong, to me, there's two systems. It's gone now. It's becoming more or less like a police state currently. But would you come back if you finish college in the States, or, because you were born here, right? I suppose you have some very good memories about the old Hong Kong, like myself.
At the moment, I would say yes, that I do want to come back. Just very, very simple, as you said, just because it is the place that I grew up. Obviously, I have a lot of connections to it. But also, even though the city certainly is going to change in the time that I will be gone in terms of university, that's important to be present so that everything is possible, if there are any opportunities for us to that I'd be in a position to help and just make it useful for any movement that exists. I guess maybe I should acknowledge that it's like teenage naivety, and that the situation may indeed take slightly worse in the next 5 years. I think even lawmakers of nascent law now is heading to leave Hong Kong on a permanent basis. The question now is whether the situation is going to get better or worse, but how bad the changes are going to be in the next 5 years. And I guess the intensity of what happens is something that I can't predict.
Okay.
On the whole, I still carry it.
Well, I wish I could invite you again when the date gets closer of your leaving of Hong Kong. I know you still have a good few more months here, but I might call you up again if there are some pressing issues that we could discuss. Definitely, I don't see we will have a massive protest moving forward, and to me, even the candlelight vigil for Tiananmen, I don't think we will have it next year. There'll be more crackdown. It is sad, but through all these so-called changes, we still have to stand up strong, just like what you alluded to earlier. So I wish you well in your studies and hope to invite you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.